Hey guys, Paul here with Late Night Games for our final day of our VEDA challenge. We have finally reached day 30. And what that means is I will be doing the Q&A. Mind you, you guys didn't send any questions via YouTube, so I hit Facebook this afternoon, and my god did I get a response from quite a few people with quite a few questions. So without further ado, let's get started. Taryn asks, what is your favorite video game? What is your favorite game that you've Let's Played? A two-parter, eh? Well, ambitious to start off, I see. First, my favorite game. I would have to say my favorite game depends on what you consider a favorite game and what you consider a good game. I mean, the criteria could be that it's a game that I sunk the most hours into growing up, in which case that would most likely be Harvest Moon, or the Harvest Moon series as a whole. Because I keep going back to them, and I've played pretty much every Harvest Moon game there is out there to death. I mean, right now I'm playing Rune Factory just because it's got a Harvest Moon-esque feel to it. That being said, those games are designed to sink time into, and just because I've sunk a lot of time into it doesn't necessarily make it my favorite. So if you go by the game that has the most nostalgic value for me, the one that at the time blew my mind the most, it may not hold up today, but it's a fantastic game, and if you don't mind something a little nostalgic, definitely check it out, and that is Parasite Eve for the PlayStation. When that game first came out, the cinematics in it blew my mind. The storyline was fantastic. The fact it was all about our mutated blood was actually out to get us, and in our blood was little demons things that were growing and evolving, and eventually we would be eaten by our own evolution. We were just a step in the evolution of something else. Fantastic game, and I'm not giving away too much spoilers. That's actually fairly early in the game that all happens, but play the game. It's fantastic. The weapon upgrade system's really cool, how you get guns and then you upgrade them by either putting an extended clip or a better barrel on it or a high capacity mag, better ammo, like all this thing that you can do to upgrade it, upgrade your armor, get you flamethrowers. The game is just unreal. As to my favorite Let's Play, that's a toss-up. Vampire I'm really enjoying because it's a great story and it's my first time going through it and it's fantastic. Mind you, I am also really enjoying Far Cry 3. That game's had me just jumping with giddy, so giddyful that I forget the L in glee. That's how happy I get when I play this game. There are other times that the game totally pisses me off, and the game drags on in a bore, but for the moments that is happy, it's fantastic. I love it, and I can't get enough of either of those two. Tom asks, who would win in a fight, William Shatner or David Hasselhoff? And prove your conclusion. This is a tough one because both William and David have a lot of experience behind them, a lot of characters. William's been a Starfleet captain. David's been the man that saves America in a fast car. William's been a paralegal. David's been a lifeguard. Like, they've both done such a wide variety of roles. So if you're pitting character against character, Shatner's characters would win. Because even with the power of Kit under his belt, Michael Knight cannot withstand the firepower of the Enterprise from Star Trek. If it's just a fist fight between the characters, I'd have to say Michael Knight will probably win, because although Kirk has his whole back hit with the double fist, you don't see what Michael Knight does. Like the first fight scene he gets into, it's all off camera, but he kicks ass, and he takes on multiple foes at once. Now, if you're going with the actors themselves fighting it out, I'd also have to give the edge to David just a little bit, because while they're both out of shape, as they are older, and people as they get older tend to get out of shape to a degree. I mean, I'm a prime example of that. As I'm getting older, I'm getting in worse shape. Although I'm a little too young to be using that as an excuse. David is still a little younger, or at least appears a little younger, and is in slightly better shape, I feel, than William Shatner is. So in a fist fight today, I think David would win. However, at their prime, I have no idea. Both of them were strapping, scrappy little boys. Mind you, David wore the cowboy boots, which giving someone the boots can bloody well hurt. Now, if you're looking at the power of them combined with their fan base, William Shatner would blow David Hasselhoff out of the water because Trekkies are a force to be reckoned with. They are dangerous in large groups, especially if you get them mad. Mind you, if the battle happened over in Europe, well, David Hasselhoff has most of Germany in his back pocket. So really, it would depend on where they are, and there are situations where Shatner would win, but I think more often than not, David Hasselhoff would have the edge on Shatner. Ali asks, how do you rip the backseat out of a midsize sedan? There's a story here, and the question is how do you rip the backseat out? It's how do you get into the trunk of a locked midsize sedan? Some backstory, Ali and her boyfriend's, Beyonce's, relationship partner's car, they needed to get into the trunk, but the trunk release was broken. And the keyhole for the trunk also doesn't work. So they had no way to get in. So I said, why don't we go in for the back seat? Your back seat's fold down, right? Well, the mechanism to unlock the back seat was in the trunk. Makes it a little difficult to open the back seat. So they suggested, just break the back seat. We don't care about the back seat, we just need to get in the trunk. So I grabbed a crowbar and shoved it between the seat and the back of the car and just started reefing on it. Someone else pops down with a crowbar and stops reefing on it. There's the two of us just reefing on this seat with all our body weight, and this thing ain't coming. This thing must be reinforced by adamantium. I swear it's so goddamn strong. Neither of us has access to power tools, because all my power tools require electricity, and it was outside where I don't have electricity. So there was no way I was getting this thing open as is. After an hour of struggling, they mentioned, well, we have CAA. Would that help? Would that help? Would a company whose sole purpose is to provide free tow truck service and come out and give you gas and unlock your car as one of their main services provided, be of assistance when part of your car is locked? Get the fuck home and call CAA. Tiffany asks, how do you maintain your hair? What's in your purse, wallet, briefcase, backpack? Well, how I maintain my hair is with shampoo and conditioner. When I get out of the shower, I towel dry it. Sometimes I throw some gel in and just mess it up a little bit. And sometimes I just put a brush through it. It's really not that complicated. For my facial hair, I have a electric razor and a manual razor. I use the electric razor to trim down and to get most of the bulk off of my chin and my cheeks. And then when I'm going somewhere important, I'll use the manual razor to trim it down even further. But what's in my purse, wallet, briefcase, a backpack? I don't have a purse or a briefcase. My backpack typically has a computer in it, a laptop, charger, and whatever peripherals I may need. Mouse, a webcam, a couple of USB sticks. Basically so I can do my job on the go. And in my wallet, I've got 4 credit cards, a bank card, a license, and God knows how many membership cards. But my wallet is down in the car, and I don't really want to go down and get it right now because I'm wearing pajama pants, and I'm not changing out of pajama pants. So yeah, my wallet's just got basic cards in it. Nothing fancy, nothing special, nothing out of this world. Oh, I do have a license in there that's not a driver's license for an actual car. It's a driver's license for a video arcade machine. The Initial D driver's license for Initial D Stage 4, I believe, is the arcade game my license is for. Either Stage 4 or Stage 3. And on that license, I've passed 2 of the courses. So there's that. Robin asks, what's the last book you read? And what's the 5th word on 13th line on the 68th page? Depending on how you define last book, the last book I've been reading is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. However, the last book I have completed is The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. So depending on your description, for The Fault in Our Stars, the word in question, page 68, line 13, word 5. 63, 7, 8, line 1, 2, 3. Me. The 5th word is me. The sentence being, this comment, however, leads me to wonder. What do you mean by meant? And in The God Delusion, opposed. From the sentence, some people think that it means something opposed to religion. Matt asks, do you have a chinchilla? No, but I used to have 2. They were Tom and Jerry. I had them back when I was maybe 13, 14 we got them. Unfortunately, Tom passed away, so Jerry being on his own was no longer the same chinchilla. He was getting lonely and wasn't eating properly, so I started spending a lot more physical time with him. When it was Tom and Jerry both in the cage, they entertained themselves and they didn't really like human attention. But once Tom passed away, Jerry really adored human attention, and he would actually sit on my shoulder and stay there as I would walk around. So I'd go outside, hang out with a bunch of friends, just chit-chat on the back patio, be barbecuing. He would sit on my shoulder. I'd walk up to the coffee shop or to Blockbuster Video. He'd be on my shoulder or on my head. As such, I renamed him Pikachu, because that was about the time of the Pokemon craze, and when it first came out on TV, and I noticed his behavior matched that of Pikachu, Ash's Pikachu, who was constantly sitting on his shoulder as he walks, or on his head. Alas, Pikachu also passed away a few years after we renamed him, and that would be the end of my chinchillas. Fiona asks, what wouldn't you do for a Klondike bar? I wouldn't give up my coffee for a Klondike bar, that's for sure. I'm not really a fan of Klondike bars in themselves. However, just on the principle of doing something for a Klondike bar, because, media tells you what would you do for a Klondike bar, I do a lot. I mean, I've done more for less. So, I'd probably be willing to do a lot as long as it didn't harm myself or my car. No, as long as it didn't harm my car. I'll take a little bit of harm, just no major harm, and I'll be okay to harm myself a little in the actions of getting a Klondike bar, whether it be jumping off a cliff while rappelling, or going to a paintball field topless. Something along those lines, I do that for a Klondike bar. Shell asks, what kind of adventures have you and Kit gotten into? Oh god, what adventures haven't we gotten into? The two biggest adventures we went on, duration-wise, is our 2 trips to the US. The first of which, the car almost didn't make it back. I managed to get it to my grandfather's, and we had to jerry-rig a new wire system so we could put a toggle switch on the radiator fan because the car was overheating and the fan wasn't tripping automatically to cool the coolant down. So we had to put a manual toggle switch to toggle it earlier because it would get too hot too quick. But it still had trouble getting back to Canada, so that was a rocky trip. Then there was the trip I took last summer, which was a 5,000 kilometer road trip, and the only thing that broke was the bracket that held the driver's seat down, which I replaced the next morning. But it was a fantastic trip where I got to see a lot of people I care really a lot about, and got to finally meet some of them for the first time, like people I've known for years, like a lifetime's worth of time, and haven't ever actually met them face to face. So it was an excellent opportunity, and I would definitely do it again. As for the most adventure-style drive, with people involved, I would say that is the trip we took to Port Dover, I think it was, for May 2-4 weekend a few years ago. We shoved me and 3 other people, a guy and 2 girls, into the Firebird with all of our camping gear for the entire weekend. The Firebird doesn't have much cargo space in its trunk, nor in its seats. We were all like completely jam-packed in there. It was crazy tight. Mind you, I had to have enough room for the driver's seat. And beforehand, I got up at like 5 in the morning and waxed the car down, and it was just a fantastic trip. Sat the car on the beach for a while. I don't know. Definitely the most adventure feeling of all our trips. Nathan asks, would you ever Let's Play a notoriously shitty game if requested? It depends on what kind of notoriously shitty. I mean, the new SimCity is notoriously shitty, but I kind of enjoy it. There's a lot of games out there that people claim notoriously are shitty, and hell, KOTOR 2 is notoriously shitty, and I'm doing a Let's Play of it. I regret starting it, but I'm gonna finish it because I don't like leaving this unfinished. But I forgot how buggy the game was when I started. It's not that it's a bad game, it's just buggy as fuck. But that being said, I mean, if a really shitty game that I just did not want to play was requested of me, probably not if it was just requested by one-off person. But if I start getting a lot of requests for the same game and it was a game I didn't want to play, I'll play it. Because even shitty games can lead to entertaining commentary, and who knows, I may have my ways turned once I start playing it. I might actually start to enjoy it. So short answer, probably not for one request, but if multiple requests came in for the same shitty game, yes. Fi asks, where do babies come from, and what is the best way to cook them? Well, you see, once upon a time, aliens needed a way to inhabit our world, but they couldn't because their bodies were not designed to handle our atmosphere. So, they turned themselves into a cream filling. They liquefied themselves, their consciousness. And then they sent those liquefied consciousnesses in sausages, similar to cheese stuffed sausages, to a factory where it is inserted into a taco and then heated up. And when it gets heated up, the cheese explodes. You know, have you ever cooked one of those cheese-filled sausages? They explode out the ends. And that filling cakes the back wall of the taco. And the taco then transforms into a bun in said oven. Now, that bun stays in the oven for about 9 months until a stork comes by, picks it up, and drops it off at the nearest house of awaiting parents. It lands on the ground and pop, it's a baby. Now, the best way to cook them, since they are like a cheese filling made with bread, you already got your bread and your starch, so babies are best dipped in soup or in another liquid type substance. They're really good with pasta to wipe up the sauce. Just treat them like you would a good biscuit. Glenn asks, what is your zombie survival plan? I don't have one. I don't need one. This is my zombie survival plan. Kit is my zombie survival plan. And the fact that me and Kit both are kind of half zombie, I figure we could get the zombies to fight on our side. Rob asks, if you could choose between world peace or a world full of Pokemon, which starter would you choose? Now see, humans inherently will never achieve world peace. So for me to wish for world peace, it would end eventually anyways as soon as conflict comes back up. As great and noble as a wish it would be, I'd have to go with Pokemon. Now, as to my starter Pokemon, that depends on what you classify as starter Pokemon. If you're sticking to the starter Pokemon from the games, I would go with Charmander most likely, or potentially an Eevee, because they were a starter in one of the games for your rival. However, if I could choose any Pokemon to be my starting Pokemon, it would be Rotom, a plasma Pokemon. It's an electric ghost Pokemon. And the reason why is Rotom is known to inhabit and possess electrical devices. So I would train my Rotom to possess Kit, and then Kit would actually come to life and be alive with the possessing ghost controlling it. Then I'd literally have a car that drove itself. It'd be fantastic. And our last question for our last video of the 2014 VEDA series, again asked by Fiona. She asked a lot of them. Do you have any favorite moments from this year or any previous year's Vitas? In the previous years, my favorite moments, I think, were when I had a Vita video where Dave joined me from Australia, as well as when Mari joined me to announce the Path to Become a Passable Gamer series that we were started back then. As for this year, by far my favorite moment was Pudgy Peepee. Pudgy Peepee was absolutely fantastic. It was my favorite part of any Vita video. This all being said, my favorite part of the whole Vita process was just how much I got to interact with you guys, where you interacted back, the conversations we had, the back and forth interactions. It was just fantastic. The interaction rate on my channel went up by 588% this month compared to last. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to keep that sort of back and forth conversation going with you guys. But, as I said, that is our last question. That is it for this Vita of today's video. Sorry, that is it for this video of today's Vita and this year's Vita. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and joining me on this wild ride. Now that this is over, though, we will still have vlogs weekly, and we will then get back to the game footage, because the time I would normally put towards developing game footage has been put towards these daily vlogs. So, as well, the green screen has arrived for the late night news set, so I just have to finish building the set, and then we can get started with the news program as well. So I hope you guys enjoy that, or any other projects I might run now that I've got a green screen. I mean, the possibilities are really endless. Anywho, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and take care, guys.